Thank you so much, Laura, for this question. It reads, I love this conversation. Wouldn't we want to increase differential reinforcement and the understanding of the function of the target behavior, and through that provide behavior understanding and skill building? And I'm so happy that you asked this question, because the video that this was posted on was about how we need to reframe how we're addressing challenging behavior. Focus less on what we're taking away, what reinforcers we're removing, and focus more on how we're supporting the individual. And of course, for many of us trained in behavior analysis, a heavy emphasis is placed on the importance of differential reinforcement and understanding the function. And I'm not saying those things don't matter. However, I don't think we receive enough training on when to prioritize this piece and when to prioritize other things. So in the work that I've been doing for the past 20 years, I've constantly looked at how can I teach people to follow the process that I've been using that's been more effective when I've used this process, whether it's directly with clients or when I'm supervising people, that is more comprehensive and takes into account an actual step-by-step process that we go to that gets us to the point of, okay, now's the time that we should be focusing on differential reinforcement and function. For me personally, I was trained like function over everything else. But in my own clinical practice, again, for the past 20 years, and especially once I had my son, I realized if I'm jumping in trying to understand function before I really understand the person and the various skills they have for navigating distressful situations, then I'm not getting accurate information. So in the past few years, I've been presenting to people on what I call the phases of service delivery. I have, various courses and things where I talk about this, but I'm going to try to give like a short version of it to not have too long of a video. So the phases of service delivery start first with connected relationships. And this is based on research in a variety of different fields, showing the importance of having physical and environmental safety, but also having emotional safety. If you're familiar at all with trauma-informed practices, this probably sounds very familiar to you. But the idea with the connected relationships phase is that we're creating that safe, trusting relationship with our clients, and we understand what makes a safe, physically safe and emotionally safe environment for them. It takes very specific assessment and programming to build up that connected relationship. Once we've done that, we can go to phase 2, which is looking at emotional regulation. Research has shown when someone is regulated is when they're most present and available for learning. So if we're completely skipping over understanding the regulation skills of our clients and trying to just jump into what's the function and trying to understand things from an antecedent behavior consequence standpoint, again, the information we gather is probably not going to be very accurate. Think about your own life. When you're distressed, if you're experiencing a really stressful situation, how you navigate things and what you're doing is going to look a lot different. You might go into fight or flight mode. You might be in fawn or freeze mode. You might be in complete shutdown mode. That is going to look very different from when you're moving around happy, relaxed, and engaged and navigating the world in that way. If we're trying to understand maintaining consequences for clients who are in an activated state where their nervous system is activated and they're engaged based off of that, again, our information not going to be accurate. So I focus on building those emotional regulation skills, looking at where they're at, and getting that like basic foundational level of regulation first. Then I go to the Big 4 preventative, which is an article that was published by Dr. Shala Rosales. Shala I lie now, but in 2018 is when that came online, and 2019 is when it was published. Her and her colleagues identified 4 different skill areas that prevent the occurrence of challenging behavior. So we're looking at how does the client gain attention, communicate, engage in leisure skills, and then navigate adversity. Really being purposeful and intentional about how I'm assessing and addressing those 4 specific skill areas. Once that's done, if the client is old enough, like 4 or 5 and up, I'll look at executive functioning skills as well and assess those and build up any areas that might be contributing to the challenging or unsafe behavior that I'm seeing. Once I've done all of that and I have the environmental supports in place, if the challenging behavior still persists, that's when now I know it's time that my functional assessment will be the most accurate. Now, we could consider that whole process the functional assessment in the sense of we're trying to understand this person and all of the different variables and skill differences that are contributing to the occurrence of this unsafe responding. However, in our field right now, at least, when people talk about functional assessment, that's not typically what they mean. And I separate the two currently. At some point, if it's a more holistic approach and those things are regularly included, then I won't have to do that. But for me, I do those phases of service delivery first. Then, if necessary, is when I'll finally look at, okay, the traditional way of what are the consequences that might be maintaining this reinforcer? How can we use differential reinforcement to build these skills? But even then, when I use differential reinforcement, it's not with extinction. And I have several different videos to talk about that. If you all want to check them out, they should be clearly labeled on my page. Did my best to try to keep this short. We're still over 6 minutes, but that's better than 20 hours. If you want to learn more about this, feel free to reach out to me. I can send you some resources. And if you made it through the whole video, thanks for watching.